This is a 2023 Model 3 rear-wheel drive with LFP battery that I bought in November last year. It was the first batch of Model 3 that had parking sensors deleted. I have driven this car for 22,000 miles in the last 10 months of ownership. While the facelift Model 3 is around the corner, I am going to give this car a quick review and talk about one major problem that makes me want to get rid of this car. I was cross-shopping Audi e-tron, Model Y and Model 3 at the time when gas price was over $6 per gallon last year in California, and decided to buy the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. For one, it is the most efficient EV on the market. Two, it is the only EV that uses LFP battery in the US market. 3. My wife and kids all think Model 3 looks better than Model Y. This car was a direct replacement of my 2015 BMW 528i, which had 68,000 miles at the time I traded it in. Surprisingly, the BMW never had one single issue during my 7 years of ownership. It did not even burn oil at all. The only preventive replacement part it ever got was a serpentine belt and tensioner, which was done at about 55,000 miles and cost me $73. And it took me less than 20 minutes to replace it. The 528i was also the easiest car I have ever worked on so far. I really enjoy having it. Back to the Model 3. The style is subjective, but it looks pretty nice to me. I even prefer the current style more than the upcoming facelift version. Agile handling and instant torque make the Model 3 a joy to drive. Although this is the slowest Model 3 in the lineup, 5.8 seconds from 0 to 60 is not slow at all. It corners very well with minimal body roll. However, if compared to BMW 528i, the ride quality is not even comparable. The cabin noise is significantly louder in Model 3, much louder. While both take corner very well, the 528i filters the road much better and provides a much relaxed and comfortable experience. The whole car is just much more stable at high speed. On the Model 3, I can feel each tiny bump, crack, rock on the road. It is a bumpy ride, to say the least. In my humble opinion, autopilot is the most exaggerated function on Tesla cars. The term autopilot is very misleading. It is frankly the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assistant functions available on most of other cars in the current market. It is by no means self-driving and not intended for that purpose. Even equipped with full self-driving function, it is still not fully self-driving and requires driver input from time to time. Unfortunately, many people treat autopilot as self-driving without fully understanding its functionality and cause many tragedies. On the other hand, Tesla arguably has the best lane keeping function on the market. I give it that. When autopilot is active, it keeps the car in the middle of the lane and tracks along very well. The steering wheel feels solid and requires a bit of force to break the lane keeping function, which provides some confidence to the driver. And if hands off, it can drive for 2 to 3 minutes before warning you to put the hands back on. With other cars' lane keeping function, it usually requires the driver to put the hands back on after a much shorter period of time. But again, autopilot is very misleading, and I hope people could understand its purpose and don't do crazy things with it. As I said, this Model 3 was the first batch of Tesla that had the parking sensors removed. Tesla rolled out its vision-based park assist function in April this year. Being solely relying on cameras, it provides pretty good reference for parking. But it comes nowhere close to the combination of Sonos sensors and 360-degree top-view cameras on my other cars, in terms of ease of use and accuracy. In the Model 3, I still need to do a little guesswork, but on the 528i and the Audi Q7 I can see it for sure. It's night and day differences. The finish of Model 3 is very poor because it was pouring rain on the day I took delivery. I did not get a chance to inspect the car on the spot, but I was offered to do inspection within 72 hours and report any issues. I then did find many tiny issues, which should not appear on a car at this price range, including scratches on the paint, scratches and wrinkle on the steering wheel, wrinkle on the back seat cushion. And that leads to a series of pretty unpleasant service experiences. After I reported the paint issues, Tesla gave me an appointment date that was a month later to take my car in, said they need to schedule it with the body shop. Then, after a month of wait, just one day before the appointment date, I got a call from Tesla, and they told me instead of dropping off my car the next day to fix the paint issues, they need to take a look at the paint issues in person first, and then schedule a day with the body shop. I said forget it, because by the time there were already 2 paint chips on the front bumper caused by rocks. But even then, it still took me 2 mobile services and 2 to the service center to get the other issues fixed. It went through 3 steering wheel replacements to finally have a steering wheel that's free of defects. Other than these initial issues, I also got a tail light replaced last month due to heavy water condensation, and there is an upcoming appointment next week to diagnose abnormal noise coming from the front suspension. Although Tesla is generous about replacing defect parts, I'd rather not have any of these issues at the first place and use my time on better things. Nowadays, I have become immune to all kinds of noise and rattling sound inside the cabin and try to stay away from making another appointment unless it is absolutely necessary. I have done 2 long-distance road trips on this car so far, one from Los Angeles to San Francisco, another from Los Angeles to Hearst Castle. Although the rear-wheel drive Model 3 has only 272 miles range compared to long-range 330 miles, but the LFP battery gives me the ability to charge it to 100% every time. So it is not much less than 90% of 330 miles of the long range, which equals to 297 miles. The LFP battery is also said to be less likely to catch fire should it be in an accident and also less affected by cold weather. I have never had any range anxiety so far, knowing the car can be charged from 38 miles to 206 miles in 20 minutes. That is from 14% to 75%. Actually, in those 2 long-distance trips, the car was charged enough way before we finished eating our burger in In-N-Out. I think 1 or 2 stops at supercharge in one way is acceptable. 3 stops feels a bit stretched, and I definitely don't want to take any road trip that requires more than 3 stops one way. I also did not notice driving the car faster or slower during winter or summer makes much difference to the range and its efficiency. According to the onboard computer, its overall consumption is 228 watt-hour per mile. My home's average electricity price is about 24 cents per kilowatt-hour. That translates into each mile of driving costs about 6 cents. For comparison, if gas price is $5 per gallon, it costs about 22 cents per mile on the BMW 528i, which has 23 mpg combined. Talking about degradation, after 22,319 miles of driving and charging the battery to 100% each single day, regardless whether it's at home or at supercharge, the range when fully charged is now 265 miles. That is 7 miles down from its initial 272 miles, or 2.57%. If degradation is linear, it would take a total of 260,533 miles of driving to get the battery to degrade 30% from its original range. I wouldn't worry too much about it, because I am already thinking about getting rid of this car. And that leads to the biggest issue of this car, at least to me that is. Before going any further, I have to say everybody is different, and this is very subjective. It is an issue for me, and it is my own experience. Other people might not think it's an issue at all. Look at this seat. It is the worst seat I have ever sat on. To me, it is extremely uncomfortable. I have to lower the seat all the way down to sit comfortably, but the front of the cushion does not go any lower, and this raises up my thighs and puts pressure on my lower back. Then, when I adjust the back of the seat to a more upright position to support my back, this unadjustable forward-facing headrest pushes my head forward, resulting in an awkward position which my neck cannot stay at a natural curve from the spine, and my lower back hurts a lot. But if I recline the seat to make my lower back more comfortable, my upper body would be leaning too backward, making me to keep stretching my neck forward to stay upright, which puts a lot of strain to my neck and shoulders. I have tried adjusting the seat and lumbar support to all kinds of positions, and yet to find a combination that can make my lower back and neck less pain. Right now, my lower back hurts just after 5 minutes of driving the Model 3. And if I drive 3 days in a row, 1 hour a day, it would take me literally a whole day lying in bed to recover. It is that bad. I had also pulled out the headrest and bent the metal posts backward to make the headrest more upright. It helped easing my neck pain a little bit, but the lower back pain is still a big issue to me, to a point that I am actively looking to selling this car. If you have concerns of seating position, my advice is to rent a Model 3 and take a long distance drive. You really wouldn't have enough experience of driving position during a 30 minutes test drive. The last thing I want to talk about is Tesla's pricing strategy. I bought this Model 3 at its all-time highest price, $48,990 to be exact, or $55,044 after tax and fees. Then, for just less than 2 months, the MSRP dropped $3,000. Then a month later, another 1,000 price cut, and now its MSRP is $6,750 less than the price I paid for, plus $7,500 federal tax credit and some state and city credits. That's talking about 15,000 price difference, which offsets the gas savings of driving 93,750 miles on this Model 3 instead of driving this much mileage on the BMW 528i. Other Tesla models had even steeper price cut, and that caused many complaints from existing owners, especially the ones just took delivery yesterday and woke up to see their car worth $10,000 less in the next morning, while it only has less than 100 miles on the odometer. Yes, a done deal is literally done. You agree to pay for that price at the very moment you make the decision of buying that particular car. And people argue that if the price goes up, you don't pay the difference to Tesla. That's true too. My point is, manufacturers' MSRP change is different from the dealers adding markups or giving steep discounts on their cars. In the latter case, the manufacturer's MSRP remains unchanged, and that gives a standard, a reference to the market. And I believe people could see the differences here. From a business point of view, I cannot blame Tesla for changing its price to remain competitive. But it also tells people that Tesla cares very little about its customers. It can be handled better, be it free premium connectivity subscription or FSD subscription, to compensate those people who pay a high price and help Tesla to achieve its financial goal in the past. At least it shows Tesla cares. Okay, that wraps up my review. Hope you find it useful. Leave your comments below and please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye now.